Linda, question: Can I Zoom from anywhere, any state?
Yes.
Good. That was just a question. I'm new at this Zoom stuff. Hi, Tamiko. You're on mute, dear.
Hello, Miss Carmen. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Okay, we're
Yes.
going live, so we're supposed to be quiet right now. Good evening. My name is Linda Flowers, president of the Carbondale Branch NAACP. It is my pleasure to welcome each and every one of you to our program this evening titled, Your Vote is Your Voice. Each election season, politicians declare it is the most important election of our lifetime, and this year is no different. However, what is different is that America is in the middle of a pandemic that has resulted in the death of over 200,000 Americans and has highlighted health, education, economic, environmental, criminal justice, and political disparities that exist among racial and socioeconomic groups, and has shed a bright light on pressing social issues. Consequently, this election season, like none other, has highlighted the importance of exercising our civic responsibility to participate in the November 3rd, 2020 election. Now, here to get our program started is our branch political action co-chair and moderator for this evening, Patricia Mayberry.
Good evening. My name is Patricia Mayberry, and I am so excited to have this opportunity to share with you information on voting and registering to vote. Our panelists are Tamika Mueller, who will talk to you about voter registration and mail-in voting. Also, we have Carmen Allen, and I'm not sure, you'll have to say last part, who is our panelist and who will be talking to us about early voting and finding, locating your polling place. And finally, we'll come back to Linda Flowers, who will give us information on resources. But I am so excited to be able to share this information with you. And we are going to start, first of all, with voter registration and Tamika Mueller. Tamika?
Thank you, Miss Mayberry. As mentioned before, my name is Tamika Mueller, and I am currently also an elected official. I am going to be talking about voter registration and how important this is to everyone, especially this election period for 2020. So there's several types of registration that you can do at this particular time. More specifically, for the state of Illinois, the Illinois legislature passed legislation to provide increased availability of voting options for 2020. All Illinois voters are eligible to vote by mail. And it's also available, you can vote in person, and you can also vote on or register online to vote. So part of the registration, being able to register, you have to have in the beginning 2 forms of identification, which are at least one showing your current residence address are needed when you register in person. If you register by mail, significant proof of identity is required by submission of your driver's license number or state identification number. If you do not have either of those, verification by your last 4 digits of your social security number, a copy of a current and valid photo identification, or a copy of a current utility bill, bank statement, paycheck, government check, or other government document that shows your name and address will be required. A person may also demonstrate sufficient proof of identity by submission of an identification card issued by a college or a university, accompanied by either a copy of the applicant's contract of a lease for residency or a postmarked mail delivered to the applicant at their current resident address. So this is the forms of identification that may be used to register to vote. For voting purposes, also, you must be a US citizen, must be 18 years old to vote in the consolidated or general election, or 17 years of age to vote in a consolidated primary or general election. You must have been a resident of the precinct for at least 30 days prior to election. Also, some people were asking about this, and I want to make sure, did you know if you need to re-register? And also, if you need to re-register, there's 3 reasons why. If you changed your name, so if you got married or if you got divorced or anything in between, if there's any type of name changes, you have to re-register. Number 2, if you moved, so if you're a college student and you moved from Chicago to come to Southern Illinois, then if you have a new address and you're not going to vote in your other area or in Chicago, then you would have to re-register to vote here with your new address. And also, thirdly, the third thing is if you want to change your party affiliation. So if you're independent, wanting to go to Democrat or Republican or vice versa, then you would have to change for your registration. You would have to re-register for those 3 items. But as always, you can go to the Jackson County Clerk's Office, which is at 1001 Walnut Street, Murfreesboro, Illinois, 62966. And they will give you all the information for registration, as well as mail-in ballots and all the information you need. You can get it directly from the Jackson County Clerk's office. Thank you. I'll turn it back over to you, Ms. Mayberry.
Okay, thank you. Next, we will have Carmen speak to us about early voting.
Hello, my name is Carmen Allen Adeoye, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about early voting. And I'm in Williamson County, so my address will probably be different than the Jackson County. However, the times are basically the same, and the dates. So September the 21st, we started our first early voting. That was the very first day of early voting of the election authority and temporary locations designated by the election authority. Now, I'm not sure where it is in Jackson County, but I think it's where Tomiko just said, but here in Marion is the Annex building at 409 North Monroe Street in Marion. So you have October, you have other dates, the close of regular registration, the last day for registration, which she spoke on, or transfer of the registration within the offices of the election authority will be October the 6th. There is a grace period, and it goes from October the 7th through November the 2nd, and it's a grace period registration and voting. So the first day for grace period is October the 7th. And it's in the office of election authority at the location designated, which again, she stated where there was in Jackson, and here in Marion, it was on Monroe Street. Also, the close of online voter registration. The last day for voters to register to vote through the State Board of Elections website would be October the 18th. And November the 2nd, early voting office of election authorities. This is the last day for early voting. It's November the 2nd at the office of your election authority, which is designated by the election authority for the purpose of this primary election. And again, that's at wherever, mine would be on Monroe Street. Now, you do have a grace period for the registration and voting. And that's the last day for that is actually on the same day that you vote. And that's November the 3rd. Grace period for registration and voting. The last day of grace period registration and grace period voting in the office of the election authority or at a location designated for this purpose of this election. And there you have it.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you so much. Now, you spoke about Williamson County. So let me add a little information about Jackson County and our early voting, which started at the courthouse on September 24th.
Correct.
Okay, now.
That's universal.
I beg your pardon?
I said that's universal. Everyone started at that.
Okay, that is, and then we have in Carbondale at the Civic Center, early voting will start October 14th at the Civic Center. And it's the 14th, the 16th, the 21st, 23rd, 26th, and 27th. So you can vote early in Carbondale. And there will also be early voting at Southern Illinois University Student Center. And it begins on October 13th. And it's on the 13th, the 15th, the 19th, the 20th, the 28th, the 29th, and the 30th. At Civic Center, early voting is going to be from 9 to 3. And at the SIU Student Center, Early voting will be from 10 to 5, and these are for people in all the precincts.
Okay, I just have another thing to add. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Because it just can't, anyway, the hours for Williamson County for voting are Monday through Thursday at the Annex Building from 8 to 4, on Fridays 8 to 6, and Saturdays 8 until noon. The office will be closed on Monday, October the 12th in observance of Columbus Day. Early voting ends November the 2nd at 6 p.m. And that is it for Williamson County. We only have one designated place, and that is at the Annex Building, 407 North Monroe Street, Suite 119 in Marion.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, Tamiko, are you ready to give us some information on mail-in voting?
Yes, ma'am, I am. Thank you so much. So I will be sharing with you some information about your mail-in ballot. And this is so important because here in the state of Illinois, they sent out an application to all of the registered voters. So I will go over those informations in detail. An Illinois voter is eligible to vote by mail. It is a two-step process. So there's two steps to this. Those who voted in the last one of these elections for 2018, 2019, or the primary for 2020 will or have received an application to vote by mail. So if you voted in any of those elections, you will automatically receive an application, okay? Completion and return of the application to the Jackson County Clerk or the county clerk of which you reside in is the first step to receiving a ballot. So even if you live in Williamson County, St. Clair County, Madison County, Perry County, you would have received an application already. The first step for mail-in ballot is you complete that application and you have to return it to your county clerk for which the residency that you're in for that particular county. That's the first step. Note that some advocacy groups have also mailed out applications to potential voters. Only one completed application is required. So if you've already submitted one of those applications for a mail-in ballot, you do not have to write or send in a second application. One application is sufficient. And then registered voters who did not receive a vote by mail application can request one from the county clerk's office. Also, you can go online as well and you can request an application. And one website I want to share with you all that has very much been helpful to a lot of people is OVA.
Over the line voting.
.illinois.gov, or excuse me, and it's ova.elections.il.gov. So you can go to that website as well and get more information. So I'll say that again. It's O as in Oscar, V as in Victor, A as in Alpha, .elections.il for Illinois.gov. And you can find a wealth of information on there, and you can go on there and do online voter registration. And you'll find out all the update information for voter registration as well. Now, beginning September 24th, as was mentioned earlier, ballots will be sent to the voters who have applied for a vote mail-in ballot, okay? Those who wish to vote remotely should complete the ballot, sign the ballot, and return in the envelope provided. Now, guys, when you receive this mail-in ballot, okay, so this is the second part of the two-step process. The first step was to receive the application and then send in the application for the mail-in ballot. And then secondly, once you receive the mail-in ballot, you have to complete that. And it's going to have a big envelope that mail-in ballot has to be returned in. So it also needs extra postage. So I'll go over that portion. So once you receive the mail-in ballot, you should complete the ballot, sign the ballot, and return in the envelope provided. That's the big envelope. You have to return it in that envelope, and it takes extra postage. Completion and return of the ballot is the second step of this. All ballots postmarked on or before November 3rd. So it has to be postmarked before or on November 3rd, which is the election day. So it has to be postmarked before that or on that day to count as a vote. And be sure to affix regular required postage. So guys, I'm telling everyone across the board, it's 70 cents to send it in this big package for your mail-in ballot, and it has to be in that bigger envelope. So put 2 stamps on there. So there's no chance of it being returned to sender. 2 stamps, okay? So that it makes it through, because it's 70 cents for the postage on that mail-in ballot. So 2 stamps. And then after you put the required postage on there, which is the 2 stamps, remember, complete and sign it and return it. Okay, so you have to sign that mail-in ballot for it to count. Once a ballot is received by you, so this is at the county clerk's office, it is possible for you to change your mind. Now, if you do have your ballot, this is what this is basically saying. You get the ballot, the mail-in ballot in mail, and you decide that you do not want to mail it in. In fact, you want to take it in person. That is an option. Okay, so some people didn't know that you could take that mail-in ballot in, but you cannot destroy it. Do not throw it away. That mail-in ballot is 1 vote, and you have to keep it if you intend to go in person and vote. Okay, so you can do that in person. However, it's critical. Do not destroy or lose that mail-in ballot. You must take the ballot with you in person to the voting site. So as was mentioned earlier, that you can do early voting or you can vote on election day. Now, if you do the early voting, you can do it at your county clerk's office, okay, at the courthouse or wherever that designated location is by the election authority. Or if you're Jackson County, you can do the early voting at the City Hall, Carbondale City Hall Civic Center, or you can go to SIUC Student Center and early vote and take that mail-in ballot with you, okay? If it is outstanding at the time you try to vote, so the mail-in ballot is considered a vote by you until it is received by or handed to the election authorities, okay? So you have to have that mail-in ballot and you have to give it to the election authorities when you go to vote. If it is outstanding at the time you try to vote in person, the system will say you have already voted. So if you don't have that mail-in ballot with you and you did not mail it and you try to go vote, it will not allow you to. So this is important. Keep that mail-in ballot if you do decide to vote in person. Otherwise, mail it in and put 2 stamps on it. And then, of course, early in-person voting is another option to maximize and minimize contact with others with the social distancing because of COVID-19. Beginning September 24th, so that was last month on Thursday, voters can cast their ballot at their county courthouse, your county clerk's office, and registering and voting can occur through November the 3rd of Election Day. And as mentioned earlier, there's a grace period there. If you do not already have registered and already wanted to early vote, you can also register and vote up to Election Day, but you've got to do it. I recommend doing it early. Now, this is another thing, because we want to make sure everyone has an opportunity. Jackson County will be open on October the 31st, which is a Saturday. You can go and vote at the courthouse at Jackson County Clerk's Office, okay, which is at the 1001 Walnut Street, Murfreesboro, Illinois. Also, if you do not want to go inside the county clerk's office or into the courthouse, there is a box where you can put your mail-in ballot and vote there, and it's under surveillance. So that is another opportunity that you can do if you feel the need to continue to social distance. And you can do that while we're early voting up to the day of election. Now, if someone is disabled and cannot get to the mailbox for the mail-in ballot, you can give it to someone to take to the county court's office on your behalf, and you will have to put that person's name on that envelope so that they know that they have been authorized to submit that on that voter's behalf. Okay, and I'll actually kind of read that to you so that you know exactly the parameters of that. And I'm sorry I'm long-winded, but this is so important, guys. I cannot say this enough. So a voter may authorize any person to return their ballot to the election authority, so the county clerk's office, as long as the voter has signed the affidavit on the ballot envelope affirming that authorization was given to deliver the ballot on behalf of that person. So if they are disabled, or if they're not able to leave their home, or if they're not able to make it, you can give a person authorization, but you have to sign the affidavit on there. It says voting by mail includes the same obligation as those who vote in the polling place on election day. The affidavits on the application and the ballot envelope must be signed. These affidavits attest to the accuracy of the information provided on the application. The affidavit on the envelope also attests to the fact that the voter is voting on their own ballot in secret. So guys, there's no room for fraud here. There's no room for any of that. It is all accounted for. The affidavit is saying that you attest to this and that is all accurate and you're voting in secret. If the voter receives assistance in the voting their ballot, the name and address of the individual providing the assistance must be placed on the ballot certification envelope. Remember that a candidate is not allowed to assist a voter unless the candidate is a spouse, parent, child, or sibling of the voter. So if you're not one of those, you cannot assist with voting. If the application is made electronically and the applicant has properly filled it out, a signature is not required. But guys, I say sign it because you want it all to count. Okay, so sign it. We're not leaving anything to chance. We need to make sure that we vote because our vote is our voice for our choice. Okay, so this is so important. And then any person may produce, reproduce, or distribute or return an election authority to an election authority the application for a vote by mail ballot. And that's just to vote by mail. That's the actual application. But guys, the key to all of this is getting it in early because we don't want to leave it to chance or anything else. We need this to be in so your vote counts for you. This is your voice, this is your choice, and this is your chance to make a huge difference. So guys, if you have any questions, please refer to Jackson County, the county clerk's office. And I'm going to give you the number as well, because I want to make sure you have everything that you absolutely need. So the number for the county clerk's office for Jackson County is 618-687-7366. I'll say that again. It's 618-687-7366. I'm also going to give you the Jackson County website, and you can go on there and you can look at the Jackson County website and you can see what the county clerk has on there for registration, mail-in ballots, early voting. It's all on there. And that's www.jacksoncounty, il.gov. So I'll say that again. www.jacksoncounty-il.gov. Guys, this is important. Please reach out. And if you need any assistance, like I said, I'm an elected official, I'm a deputy registrar. I am here to help. This is so important. Tell your family, tell your friends, one vote matters. It's so important. We need everybody. We need all hands on deck for this. So thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Mayberry.
Thank you, Tamiko. I'm glad that you brought up the mail-in Dropbox, because I think Carbondale has the only one in Southern Illinois. I believe that's the way it's been advertised. I've talked to some friends up in Cook County, and they think it's pretty cool that we have a drive-by Dropbox for our ballots. So if you don't want to have any contact with anyone, the ballot box is on the west side of the Jackson County Courthouse. It's located there. One flyer says it's emptied out 3 times a day, in the morning, at lunchtime, and before 4. And another one said it's emptied once a day. I would get there as close to 4 o'clock as I could if I were you. I also want to say that the mailing of the mail-in applications to registered voters, it only went to registered voters, was a part of a law that was enacted by Governor Pritzker. And he also gave state employees the day off to go vote. So it's important. It's very important, because every vote counts, and we need as many votes as we can get. I think also on that mail-in, all of them, there's some very specific instructions on how to fill out that ballot. And it's an oval shape, and you have to fill it in. If you check it, if you exit, your ballot will not be counted. So it's very important that you read the instructions, get that black pen, and fill in those ovals. No checks, no X's. Okay. Now we're going to go back to Carmen, and we're going to find out how to find your polling place. Okay, Carmen?
Okay, this is going to be short and sweet because it's not that complicated, but I believe that it's already been posted. All the websites that you can go, for instance, the ova.elections.illinois.gov, elections.illinois.gov, vote.org, and of course, Williamson County, I noticed on the post up, it had a dash. It does not have a dash, and it's Williamson County, Illinois, or Williamson County IL.gov. So if you want to find your polling place, first of all, if you have a voting card, it will tell you exactly where your polling place is on your voting card. That's number one. Most people don't even bother looking, but you can find it on that unless they change it, in which case they'll send you out a letter. Secondly, you can go to one of those websites and it'll have a little menu, and it'll have a place for your polling place locator. I think it asks for your zip code first, and then after you fill that out, it'll take you to another section that asks for your street number and then your street name. And once you put that in, it'll just automatically tell you where it is. And I think, like, for instance, if I lived in Carbondale, I would probably put 62901. And just for the sake of argument, I would probably put 805. That used to be my grandmother's address, North Marion. And it would probably pop up for me to go to Irma Hayes to vote. Same thing in Marion. you select your jurisdiction, and that just simply means your county. Mine is Williamson, and other people's is Jackson County. So it's not that complicated. And when you go to that page, it'll also answer a lot of your questions. I don't know if Ms. Mayberry is going to address it, but while you're on that page, you might want to get your sample ballot for wherever you're at, because that will definitely help you before to make your choice before you go to the polls. And also it gives you a chance to inform and educate yourself about who's on it and what their views are. And there's another important question on the ballot, and I'm not sure if it's on, I've already voted. It's on Carbondale's or with Jackson County, but it's the tax, fair tax. And that is probably the first question. So I would encourage everybody to get that sample ballot if it's possible. And if you don't understand anything, just ask someone. And also to refer to what Ms. Mueller said, most of your precinct committeemen, if you know who yours is, and you should, if they're good, they are also deputy registrars, and they can sign you up to vote. And I didn't address, but I think Ms. Mayberry is probably going to address the question that it was left out about ex-offenders voting.
Right.
Also. So I'm going to turn that back over because mine is really short and sweet. It's not a lot to it.
But it was accurate and good.
Thank
Thank you. Okay, finding your polling place will also not only give you the location of where you can go vote based on your address, but it also provides you with the information of what your precinct is. And we're divided into a number of different precincts. We have different precinct committeemen. The different precincts are put together to form the districts for the county. It's important to know because that's your first level. The precinct is your first level of political activity. So it's important to know what your precinct is and who your precinct committee person is. For finding the polling place in Jackson County, again, that website, lowercase Jackson County -il.gov will give you your polling places in Jackson County. So, okay. Now we're going to move on to what voting resources are available. And this information is going to come from Dr. Flowers, Dr. Linda Flowers.
Okay, so we've already talked about some of those resources. I've often heard people say you can find anything on the internet. Well, you can, and you can find answers to all of your questions about this election on the internet. And for those of you who are with us, we have put some of those websites in the chat. For those of you who may not be with us and cannot see the chat, I'll just name a few and you can jot them down if you're out there with us. Vote.org, vote411.org, ballotready.org, whenweallvote.org, and especially for your local elections, votequadrant.com. Now, what I'm going to do, the teacher and me, we're going to actually look at one or two of those sites. So I am going to share the screen here. Let's see, maybe. Okay. Okay, can you guys see the ballot ready?
No, not at this time, Dr. Flowers.
Not at this time. Okay, let me stop and start again. Can you see it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is the first one. This is ballotready.com. And here it says every candidate and referendum explain. And you get started by putting in your address. So I'm going to just put in an address here. And look, pops up and it gives you a choice between Carbondale, Tennessee, Georgia. I'll pick Carbondale and we'll get started. Welcome to the Election Center. We're here to help you with everything you need to vote in the upcoming election. Next. Thanks for taking the first step in making sure you're set to vote. The next step is to make a pledge. I'm going to skip that and I'm going to view the Election Center. Here's the Election Center here. What I can do in the Election Center, I can check my registration. If you have questions about, am I registered to vote? You can check it there. Request a ballot if you want to see who is going to be on your ballot. A lot of times we know for those major offices who's going to be on the ballot. We need to check and see who's going to be on the ballot for those Supreme Court justice seats, for the state's attorney seats. Sometimes we go to the polling place and we aren't sure who's on the ballot for all of those open seats, or we're not sure of anything about those people. So then we leave them blank, or we do an uninformed choice. Research ballot. Let's pick that one. Vote informed on every candidate and referendum. So here, over here, we know who's on the ballot, let's say for president, US Senate, local candidates. Let's click on the judicial candidates. Illinois Supreme Court, 5th District. Click on there. And then over here, it shows you a picture of the two candidates, Judy Katz, David Overstreet. When we scroll down, we can look. Well, here we click on the picture. And when we go down, we get information, the Bar Association evaluation on this person. It says here, highly qualified, recommended. And then we go down, it tells you about them, what their experience is, what their education is, what their position is on some issues, who they're endorsed by, and then more information on this person. So here you can actually do your research and make an informed choice before going to vote. Let's see who else. Let's go back and look at state candidates. Illinois State Senate. Okay, we just have one candidate there. Local candidates, Jackson County Board, and it gives you each district, but you can do that for each open seat. You can look and see who's on the ballot and get information on that person. So we're gonna go back. And here it gives you the option of printing out the ballot here, or if you don't want to print out the ballot, you can email it to yourself and then you can pull it up on your phone. And then while you're at the polling place, you can look at your phone and vote that way. Let's go back there. Okay, let's say you aren't sure if you want to, if you're registered to vote, you can check your registration there. And, well, we won't do that there. Let's go to another one. Pull this down. Vote informed. Okay, I'm going to stop my screen share and I'm going to see if I can pull up another.
Dr. Flowers, would it be okay if I answer a question that someone had about, can I vote if I've been convicted of a felony?
Yes, do that while I find the other site. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I pulled this up while we were kind of going through some other things, and this is coming from the Illinois Legal Aid online. So it says, can I vote if I've been convicted of a felony? And so this one says, in Illinois, if you have spent time in jail or have a criminal record, you still have the right to vote. Good. Once you are no longer in the custody of the Illinois Department of Corrections, your right to vote is automatically restored. If you have previously lost your right to vote because of a felony conviction, you will need to re-register to vote once you have been released from prison. The next question it has is, when am I able to vote? It says, if you have been accused of committing a felony or have been convicted of a felony, you may still have the right to vote. As long as you are no longer in the custody of the Illinois Department of Corrections, you have the right to vote. You have the right to vote if your case in court and no verdict has been given yet. So if your case is in court already, but there's been no verdict, you still can vote. It says you are being held in jail while your case is in court and no verdict has been given. So even if you're in jail and they're waiting to give you a verdict, you still can vote until that verdict is given. And it says if you are on probation, you still have the right to vote. And you are on parole, you have the right to vote. And then another question, it says, when am I not able to vote? Okay, so if you have been convicted of a felony, there are times when you are not allowed to vote. You are not allowed to vote if you are in custody for a felony conviction. So if you already have the verdict and you are in custody and you've been given a felony conviction, you cannot vote at this time. It says this includes if you are in prison, serving your sentence, you can't vote right now. This also includes if you are serving your sentence through work release or work furlough, you can't vote right now. And also if you have been found guilty, but the judge has not given you your sentence. So if there's a guilty charge or if you're in prison serving your sentence, you can't vote at this time. It says, do I need to re-register to vote after my conviction? And this is after it's been served. It says, if you lost your right to vote because of a felony conviction, you will need to re-register. And I talked about re-registering if your address changed, if your name changed, or if you've moved, or if you have a party affiliation change, or if you have a conviction felony, you will have to re-register after you've served your sentence. And it says, so if you lost your right to vote because of a felony conviction, you will need to re-register to vote once you have been released from prison. To begin the process of registering to vote, you should see the websites that we gave earlier, and you can go to your county clerk's office. You can also contact the Illinois State Board of Elections for more information about registering to vote. So all of the resources that Dr. Flowers is giving us in the website, you can refer to that to also learn how to re-register to vote. Thank you.
That was a real good question there. And one of the things, if you are, let's say, in the Jackson County Jail, but you haven't gone to court yet, then you should be able to vote. Over there, they should register you to vote, as well as make arrangements for you to vote, because you haven't gone to trial yet and you haven't been convicted yet. That's a real good question. Was that it, Tomiko?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. I won't go to another one because we're running out of time. Instead, I'm just going to do a couple of NAACP announcements. We are having 2 environmental listen, lead, and share virtual meetings coming up soon. The first one is going to be this Saturday at 11 o'clock. And this is with the Carbondale branch, and we're working with a group in the Metro East, ACES for Youth. And if you can't make the one this Saturday, there'll also be one next Saturday, again with the Metro East ACES for Youth, and both are virtual. And if you want to learn more about environmental justice, clean energy, and solar energy, you may even want to attend both. They'll both be very informative. Those of you who've attended our Freedom Fund banquet in the past, this year you can attend the banquet without having to worry about what am I going to wear? How am I going to get a parking place at the Civic Center? Our Freedom Fund banquet is going to be virtual this year. It's going to be on October 18th. We are, instead of having one speaker, we're kind of celebrating the Year of the Woman. Notice our panel today is all women. We're having one soror from each of the 4 Divine 9 organizations to speak. And that again will be on October 18th. It will be through the Carbondale Public Library Zoom channel, just like this session tonight, and you will be able to register there. The day before the banquet on October 17th, this is a national screening. We are screening the documentary Rigged, the Voter Suppression Playbook. And this is going to be talking about all of the ways that our vote has been suppressed from slavery through today. And it will be moderated by the people who actually, the playwrights who actually did this documentary. It'll be on Zoom, and there will be an Eventbrite registration. And more information for all of these will be on the www.carbondalenaacp.org website. And now I'm going to turn it back over to our moderator, Ms. Mayberry.
Okay. There was a question that came up that had to do with what kind of identification do you need to register to vote? Tomiko, can you go over that again, please?
Yes, ma'am, I absolutely can. Thank you so much. So the information that is needed, so what forms of identification may be needed when registering to vote? There's 2 forms of identification with at least one showing your current residence. So your resident, your home address are needed when you register in person. So 2 forms of identification and one showing your current address. If you register by mail, sufficient proof of identity is required by submission of your driver's license number. So you can just do your driver's license number or a state identification card number. So those are just your numbers that you need if you're doing it by mail. Also, you have, if you do not have either of those, so that means if you don't have a state identification card or a driver's license number, you can use verification by the last 4 digits of your social security number. So just put in your last 4 social security number and a copy of your current and valid photo identification, or a copy of your current utility bill. Okay, so you can use your utility bill to show your residency, and it should have your name on there as well. A bank statement, because it usually has your name on there and your address. You can use your paycheck, a government check, or other government document that shows your name and address. And guys, it sounds like a lot, but this is to help so that there's no fraud and people can't say there's fraud going on with the system. They go through different means and ways to identify that you are the person that you say you are, and that information is correct and accurate. So that's the reason why they are asking for this form of identification to show for your registration to vote. Also, a person may also demonstrate sufficient proof of that identification or identity by submission of an identification card issued by a college or a university. So guys, usually when you're enrolling in college, they're asking for information like your social, your address, your birth certificate, things of that nature. So they will also use your information that the university provides from your college or your university. We live in a college town, Southern Illinois University, Carbondale here in Southern Illinois. So you can use your SIU card or maybe John A. Logan card to help with identification for registering. So there's multiple ways that you can get registered to vote. So please do not let that discourage anyone from voting or registering to vote. And then lastly, you can, it says copy of applicant's contract. So you can use your lease that you have for if you're renting an apartment, you can use that as well. And then to show your residency. And any of this has to be postmark mail delivered to the applicant at their current resident address. So if you had something that was postmarked, you can use that too. That was mailed to you. So there's multiple forms of identification and ways that you can use to register. But usually the most easiest way is just your identification card, your driver's license, and a piece of mail that has your address. And guys, this is important. Once again, I cannot reiterate this enough. A vote is your voice to vote for your choice. And this is important. Election day, November 3rd, 2020. Thank you, Ms. Maven.
Pat,
Yes.
the NAACP has 3 voter registration drives before the deadline on October 6th. Tomorrow will be at the Student Center from 10 to 2. Saturday will be at Hopewell Baptist Church during their food drive starting at 3. Sunday will be at Victory Church after their morning service at 12:30. And again, the deadline for deputy registrars to register people is October 6th.
Okay, so if you come to any of these events, you have to have your ID. Voter registrar will look for that ID in order to register you to vote. There's one more thing that I want to talk about very quickly, and that is if you are a registered voter, you still need to check your status. Things happen. They have erasures, clerical errors, all kinds of things happen. And when you get to that voting booth poll and you're told that you're not registered, it creates all kinds of havoc. You can check that out before you go. You can check it out now at the the website that was given to you, ova.elections.il.gov. You can go there, type in your name, your address, your birth date, and your zip code. And that will start the process. And they'll ask for your address. And by the end, they will say, you are registered in Illinois, or there is a problem. And if there's a problem, you need to get in contact with your county clerk and work that problem out before election day. One more thing, provisional voting. There are going to be instances where people go in to vote and they will be told for some reason, that their address has changed, or they don't have the right address or anything. They can vote provisionally and bring that information in within a specific period of time, usually about 2 days. So if there's a question about your address, you can go ahead and vote, but you need to bring that information in within a designated period of time. And if you don't, your vote will not count. But you can check your status now so that doesn't become a problem when you go in to vote. So I'm not sure where we stand with the time, but I think, we've provided an awful lot of information for voting. I don't think we can stress how important it is that everyone that is eligible to vote does vote. It's going to make a tremendous difference in the impact of our lives. Linda? Is there anything else?
I think we pretty much answered all of the questions. There was one more in the chat wanting to know, where do you go to vote? When is the early election at the City Hall and SIU? City Hall, the first day is October 14th. The first day at the Student Center on campus is October 13th.
13th.
Yes,
13th.
Yeah.
yes.
For the Carbondale Community Center, it's October 14, 16, 21, 23, 26, and 27 between 9 and 3. At SIU Student Center, it's October 13, 15, 19, 20, 28, 29, and 30. And that will be from 10 to 5 at the Student Center. So, and of course, there's the county courthouse every day up until election. You can go vote there.
Yes. And on behalf of the Carbondale NAACP, I would like to most certainly, first of all, thank our panelists and thank the Carbondale Public Library and Jennifer for hosting us tonight. And then thanking all of our attendees. We thank you for coming. We look forward to seeing you at our voter suppression screening on October 17th and at our Freedom Funds banquet on October 18th. Thank you all.